paper. Looks like it's live streamed.
It is. Thank you, sister.
Wow.
All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Bezea Spiritual Healing Center in this beautiful Sunday morning. For those who are coming here for the very first time, this is a non-denominational spiritist center. We respect all religions and spiritual traditions. So everybody's welcome to bring your thoughts, your questions. This is a safe environment where we are all growing and learning together. And before we start the announcements of the week, we always begin our service with a prayer. So I would like to ask our sister Gina to come up and give our opening prayer. For those who are not speaking, please make sure to mute your microphones.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to invite you all to close your eyes, open your heart, and say hello to our Heavenly Father. You have not said good morning. Say hello to Jesus. Say hello to your mentor. And say hello to your own spirit. In this moment, we give thanks to you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us another day to take a look at our moral compass, to take a look at how we can be of service. And we ask you to open our heart and our mind to receive the lesson that will be coming in front of us this morning. And may we walk away brighter than what we came. As we connect to this beautiful planet that has been a gift for us for this lifetime, let us give thanks for that as well. And let us give thanks to the cosmos, the energy that comes from our Heavenly Father, that filters down through our entire being to wash away all that is no longer in use and allow that to go into the planet to be refurbished or regenerated in another way. And lift our eyes to the light and thank God and ask God to bless this morning's service. In your name, Father, we ask that you bless this service, our mind, our soul, and our being this night. So be it.
And so it is. Thank you, sister. All right. So as I was saying, Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center is a member of the United States Spiritist Federation, and our spiritual beliefs are based around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of Spiritism. And as Emmanuel, the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, taught us, knowledge and love are the wings for our spiritual evolution. And that's the reason why the service here is divided into two parts. First, we always have someone speaking and sharing findings from remarkable and qualified mediums and spirits. And during this moment, it's really important that you actively listen, you participate, since your mentor is already supporting you to receive all the healing energy and insights that will be needed. So we highly encourage you to have a piece of paper and something for you to take notes and reflect along the week, because we know that that reflection is what will support you throughout the week. And then on the second part, we have a hands-on healing pass, where your mentor will be working with the BSH mediums and the benefactors of the good for you to receive the healing energy that is needed. As we know that this is a huge journey. You don't have to do all that by yourself. So allow me to share my screen so you can see all the opportunities that we have for us to be together. Yes, for us to be together. And I am going here to our website. So you can go to pshcenter.org. And on the tab meeting and events schedule, you should be able to find all the opportunities that we have to be together. It's always on the same link. And we have this Sunday service where we have the educational presentation and the healing passes, as I just mentioned, from 10 to 11:30-ish Pacific time. We also have daily prayers. So this is an opportunity for all of us to get together and to do some positive vibration, not only for ourselves, for those who are in need, and for the entire planet, which we know it's very much in need. Usually this takes 15, 20 minutes, and you can pray or you can just join and stay silent. Everybody's welcome to come. We also offer fraternal counseling. This is someone being available to talk to you, to hear you, to pray with you, whatever we can be helpful. Usually it takes from Wednesday 4 to 7, but if you need any other time, please let us know and we'll be happy to assign someone to talk to you. And we also have book study groups. Even if you have not started, you are more than welcome to join us anytime. It will be easy to catch up. Usually those books, they are easy for us to understand because each chapter usually is a new story with important messages. So, oh my goodness, I have to update this one. On Sundays, we will be reading another one, and I will post on our chat. And I apologize for that. The website is still not updated, but we will be reading in the Way to the Light, if I'm not mistaken. If anyone knows, please let me know what we'll be reading on Sunday. But it's another book from André Luiz and Chico Xavier.
It's the messengers.
Is it the Messengers already? It's updated. Okay.
We have been studying the messengers, but there is a new book, and I forgot.
Yes, exactly. There is a new book, and I will update this in just a couple of minutes. On Tuesday, we just started in April, The Consoler. Everybody's welcome to join on this one. This study book is in collaboration with Divine Light Spiritist group that is led by Sunshine, who is going to be our dear speaker today. On Wednesdays, we are reading the book Heaven and Hell by Allan Kardec. On Thursdays, we are reading the book Living Spring by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. We also have mediumship services, and this one is closed. It takes place on Monday at 6:30 Pacific time. The first hour is education of mediumship principles. So we always study together. But the second part, the part that is not open for the public, is where we do healing services. So if you or anyone who you know is in need, do let us know. The person will stay on our books for the treatment for at least 4 weeks, and it can be physical treatment or spiritual treatment. The one thing that we always encourage is to make sure that the person knows that they are on treatment, so then during the time of the service, they can relax, they can meditate, they can pray, or even sleep, so then they can collaborate with the treatment. Everything into this link, so everybody's you can just check it out. Okay, so I mentioned all the opportunities that we had for us to be together, and today we will hear from our sister Sunshine, and she will be talking about sociology and spiritism. So please help me to give her a warm.
You're on. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you guys can hear me, right? I think something switched, so that's why all of a sudden she was gone. Anyway, thanks, Kiki. So I'm going to share the screen. So the subject matter is Spiritism and Sociology, and it is a part of this book, The Consoler. There's one aspect of it, and it's entitled Sociology. And the base of the book is a Spiritist center in Brazil who asked Emmanuel and the Falange that he travels with different questions. And we're picking out, and I'm going to share the screen now, we're picking out 6 questions from the sociology chapter in the book, The Consoler. And if you're interested in hearing more what this book brings to us, there is a study group every Tuesday night from 6:30 to 7:30, and you're welcome to join. It's never too late because there's always different chapters that we're studying. So this one is sociology, and it's questions 54 to 68. However, we're only going to do 6 of them. So hopefully you get through it. So I invite you to be present, to really tune into what Emmanuel is gifting us with this morning. There's some novel ideas in there, and they're actually pretty pertinent because what's going on, or the political landscape we're living in, is definitely being touched on indirectly by the answers that Emmanuel is giving us to the questions that were asked. And so it's good to keep an open heart and an open mind to what comes through. So the first question that was asked is, with the diffusion of spiritual enlightenment, will humanity broaden its notion of homeland to encompass all nations of the world on an equal level? So in other words, will, as a result of spiritual enlightenment, humanity broaden its idea of what homeland is and see it from the perspective of equality? So the answer is spiritual enlightenment will give humanity a new concept of homeland. So once we enlighten more spiritually, not where we're at right now, homeland will be defined differently. And he gives us two hints here. One is that cannons and murderous bullets will be eradicated. So there won't be any wars anymore. But of course, this requires our spiritual enlightenment, our inner work. And then the second one is humans will learn to show appreciation. This is really important. Humans will learn to show appreciation for their birthplace through work and love. So this is a totally new concept. It needs to be seen also within the concept of question 55. But just to look at this one sentence, it kind of points towards the fact that wherever we're being born into, the country, socioeconomic, educational, whatever level or situation we're born into, needs to be embraced, loved, appreciated. Why? Because there's a reason why we were born into whatever situation we were born into. And we will learn to really appreciate even the difficult situations. And question 55, I mean, as we move forward, you'll hear more about it. Because the birthplace is special. There is a reason for it. And we will be learning to appreciate it through work and love. Political borders will then disappear. Not yet. Souls will replace races. The great human family will be born. Here is a little bit of a precursor from question answer 55, and that is spirits are placed wherever it is most conducive for them to fulfill their tasks of redemption and regeneration. That may actually even entail war zones, poverty, and so forth. So this is a really novel idea, right? Because we're living at a moment where, or maybe that has gone on for a long time, where people leave their so-called homeland because they want better opportunities, more peace, more wealth, whatever it is, in a different country. So Emmanuel gives us a new perspective here. And we're going to elaborate on that in the next questions and answers. So this was really groundbreaking. So question 55. Will the inequality observed among social classes in the enjoyment of earthly goods persist in the future? So will there be still inequality among us on planet Earth in the future? Well, in other words, will some be poor and some be rich? Will some be living in war zones, others won't? And the whole gamut. And the answer is social inequality is the ultimate proof of reincarnation. So the answer is yes. For the time being, social inequality will continue to exist. Why? Spirits are placed wherever it is most conducive for them to fulfill their tasks of redemption and regeneration. So we need to see it within the light of multiple lives and how we're co-creating our regenerative, our reincarnatory path so we can learn what exactly we need to learn and practice. Poverty, misery, war, and ignorance are social diseases caused by the atonements of almost all members of society. We find ourselves in these difficult circumstances in more difficult and challenging countries too, because we need to atone certain things from previous incarnations. There is a reason why we're there. And when we go back to question 54, we're invited to embrace them, to show appreciation for our birthplace through work and love. There is a reason why we were born there. And that includes poverty, misery, war, and ignorance, because we're in it for that reason. Eventually, however, spiritual enlightenment through Jesus will abolish these illnesses. Why will these illnesses go away? Not because some politician eradicates them. No, it's because we will, our spiritual enlightenment, we will be the one who are practicing Jesus's teachings. The Christ consciousness will become more part of us. We will be the ones who won't need these atonements, these harsh lessons anymore. But it is a revolution. It's a change from the inside out, not from the outside in. We can't rush it. We need to go through the lessons. And pain is inevitable at this point on our paths, and it helps us to redirect ourselves. So often we don't find God or Jesus without pain. So we're moving on to question 56. Can the concept of absolute equality be accepted in sociology? And the answer is as follows. Sociologists, and Emmanuel, we know him. He is pretty straightforward, and these are not my words. These are all quotes from the book. Sociologists commit a grave mistake when they assume that there can be absolute equality between people in any area of life. And for now, we know why, because we come from different experiences and we need different experiences in our various lifetimes. Political tyrants, he says, try to impose something of this nature, meaning political tyrants, according to Emmanuel, want to create equality for everyone. Again, it's not from the outside in, it's from the inside out. And he says that it's an imposition. He says they are theatrical attempts to eliminate differences just for show. Again, Emmanuel's words. True value of human beings is within their hearts and merit, which results from their personal efforts. It's our personal efforts that gets us into better situations, not running from this, that, or the other. Because later on in the questions, we learn, or we're being reminded one more time that it's easily out of selfishness that we want to avoid difficult situations. And we all know that's our human tendency at this level of our evolution. Everyone, he says to Valium, everyone has identical rights before God with equal opportunities to all. And that is really at the core of it all. We're all children of God on that level, yet we're finding ourselves in non-equal situations because of our own selves, of the seeds we planted in our own gardens of eternity. Everybody has the right to seek wisdom and love through personal efforts and the sacred duty of work. So we all have the right to seek wisdom and love. But that's our inner work. That's the merit we're creating. And it's those beautiful two wings that need to be equally developed to ascend to God. And this is the wing of wisdom, knowledge, and the wing of love. And all we need to do is look at dear Regina, and we see the beautiful butterfly with those two equal beautiful wings. That's our goal, to develop them equally strong every single day, a little bit more so. Life on earth, he says, is a continuous progression of our intellectual and emotional capacities. Again, those two wings. So now we go to 58. We skip over 57. I said we're only going to do a few of the questions and answers. So 58, the Spiritist group is asking, is the existence of the state in its role of systematizing human laws and the existence of the armed forces ensuring the state's sovereignty and justifiable? So this is a little bit of a translation. It seems like a very complicated question, but essentially, he is asking whether it is justifiable that there is human laws and even armed forces like the military, the police, and so forth. Is that justifiable that they exist, that we live with them? And the answer is yes, they are justifiable in order to instill order so people can fulfill their individual trials. Otherwise, we would, at this level of our evolution, have anarchy, total chaos. How could we focus on learning our lessons if there was never any order? We even know from Moses. Moses had two laws, the divine law and the human law, the civil law. And the civil law always changes because we change. It's mutable. But the divine law is always the same. So for now, it is justifiable that we have police, armed forces, and laws, our human laws, which are changeable. So thank you, Emmanuel. And then he says, once, however, humankind understands the meaning of fraternity and peace within the Creator's laws, so within the divine laws, it will no longer require certain transitory human regulations. So again, it depends on us and our inner transformation and our spiritual enlightenment, on us strengthening these two wings, the wing of knowledge and the wing of love. There is no salvation without charity, to ascend to God, to make a change. So we won't need a military force any longer, and no police and so forth. And we will just all live by divine law alone, but we're not there yet. Question 59, does Spiritism have a special role in sociology? Interesting, right? So the answer is Spiritism is the great harbinger of sociology. Why? Because it is unveiling the living gospel from the literalist religions who used it for economic interests and superficial rituals. So he's giving a jab to organized religion. And of course, we're not sitting here and judging, but we do understand that we don't need a middleman or middlewoman between us and Jesus and us and God. No control is necessary here. And Spiritism doesn't offer that. Spiritism gives us this opportunity to relate directly, to practice love directly without the church. So by literalist religion, so what is literalist? It is someone who interprets things in a very strict and exact way, often focusing on the literal meaning of words rather than their intended or figurative meaning. So in a couple of questions, we will hit two quotes from the gospel where Emmanuel gives us a figurative interpretation, meaning of that section. So we won't get stuck at the literal meaning, right? So that's also something Spiritism offers to us. Spiritism restores, so he used to say, Spiritism restores the teachings of Jesus and reveals that the human being's genuine values comes from within. From within. We are still, I think, very much outer oriented. We're trying to rake in what is offered from the outside, or we want to change the outside in order to change our inside. It's the other way around. It's all from here out. If we don't like what's going on outside there, it is good time from my perspective to go and hold up the mirror and say, okay, so what is it in me that is still like that? Because the outer is only a reflection of the inner, of our inner level of transformation. Spiritism teaches that each will receive according to their merits, again, from the inside out, which is our personal effort, while obeying the laws of goodness and work. It's all within divine law. Ideally, we're more and more so operating within, around, with the help of divine law. So we don't eventually need the human laws anymore, because then we've got it, so to speak. By reinstating truth and harmony in all hearts, Spiritism is the best antidote against social poisons and political philosophies. So for all of us who are still hung up on the political scene, that is very transitory. And I personally don't want to spend too much time on it. because I use it primarily of whatever annoys me out there, I'm going here. Okay, so where am I still doing it? Wars, where am I still dueling? Where am I still at war with myself and my friends and family members? So I use it as a mirror, but everyone has their path, of course. But here it is. Spiritism is the best antidote against social poisons and political philosophies. So then he says, social inequality is the ultimate proof of reincarnation. Remember in question 55. Let's keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that we say, oh, they deserved it. No, we're not going there. We're not saying that. We can always, there's no salvation without charity, right? Support everyone with love. Prayer. So now we're going to question 62. And this is now Emmanuel's helping us to get away from the literalist interpretation of a gospel quote. Does the commandment, oh, this is not the gospel, this is actually Moses' law. Does the commandment, thou shalt not kill, apply also to hunters who kill for fun and executioners who kill out of duty? Those who impose the death penalty, for example. Good question, right? Thou shalt not kill, right? Was Moses' law. And we know from the Spirit's book that we don't have the right to kill. That's God's right only, not ours. So here it is, the answer. As your evangelical sentiments grow, you will understand that all killers act contrary to the teachings of the sacred texts. So the emphasis is on all. Currently, you believe that only murderers who kill out of wickedness act against divine law. So now he's opening up our scope. And he says, as you advance more, you will not tolerate executioners, which means death penalty, for example. And who the definition of an executioner, according to AI online, is someone who puts people to death as a legal penalty, typically in accordance with the court's sentence. So he's now telling us that even executioners don't have a right to do this. We won't tolerate this any longer. And when we went through this material in our class, I said, I'm originally from Germany, and in Europe, there is no death penalty. There hasn't been ever since I was alive. So this was a really new thing for me to wrap myself around when I moved to the United States. So it's not in all countries that we have the death penalty, for example. And then he says, as you grow spiritually, you will see animals as your less advanced brothers and sisters, and you will stop hunting as well. Then he says in his answer, but what about vermins? Is it necessary to exterminate vermins? And the answer is, don't slanderers poison more than serpents? See, he's throwing it back at us. And this is what's so important, to always hold up the mirror. So to see, okay, I need to look at myself. Am I still slandering, talking badly behind people's backs or about people? Even what I'm experiencing outside in the political realm, right? But I want to, so I'm actually more guilty of crucifixion, of crucifying someone than anyone else, right? Reflecting back. So anyway, don't slanderers poison more than serpents? Aren't militarist or ambitious politicians who support war, are they more merciless than wild lions? In the future, a more spiritualized humankind, influenced by the light of the gospel, will help those beings who are on the lower rounds of evolution. And those of us who have pets, I'm sure we are aware as we are here together that even with pets, we're helping them on their evolutionary path. And of course, that extends beyond pets and maybe even into our diet. So let's continue. 63, considering the positive determination of do not judge, how can we discern good from evil? So we're always invited not to judge, right? So here's the distinction though. He says there's a massive difference between judgment and discernment. So this is really important for us to breathe in and feel, not just to listen, because that is really one of the ignorances we practice likely every single day. Judgment, discernment, the difference. He says the right to judge the consequences of people's actions belongs to God. The right to judge the consequences of people's actions belongs to God. We're always sitting in the glass house, always. And Jesus taught us that, and we're going to get there in a minute. So no, we look at this political party, or we look at this country or this action, or we're judging nonstop. It's not our job. We're here to learn and to serve. And learning is discernment, but not judgment. Judgment is up to God. The right to analyze and discern good from evil has been given to every spirit. So yes, that is something that's part of our evolution, our spiritual transformation, is to discern. So how can we discern good from evil? And we look at the Spirit's Book, question 630 and 632, and we may remember, we're just going to quickly touch on it, and that is good is everything that is in harmony with God's law, whereas evil is everything that deviates from it. We can substitute the word evil with ignorance. Now, if we want, we know that God's laws are written in our hearts, in our souls. But if they're kind of like covered up with a lot of dust, we can pick up the Spirit's Book and we can go into the latter section of it, and we have God's laws spelled out through questions and answers. That will help us to discern good from evil, not to judge other people's actions, but to discern good from evil. And in question 632, the answer is Jesus said. So how can we discern between good and evil? Essentially, Alan Kardec asked, and Jesus said, do unto others what you would want them to do unto you. That sums up everything. You will never go wrong. So here's the little reminder of the golden rule. So our job is to discern good from evil within our own being, so we can become more Christ conscious. Because Jesus, we know, knew what good was. He modeled it to us. And but the moral judgment, the judging the consequences of people's actions and what they're doing and saying, that belongs to God. It's not our job. So that in itself may take lifetimes, but it's good to get this reminder. So hopefully we can start or live the rest of this day and into the next week with a renewed commitment to this. Question 66. Should the Bible verse, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple, be taken literally? Remember when he said that to the young man, hey, leave all your belongings behind and follow me. And in a literalist interpretation, we're thinking like, okay, so I'm going to leave my apartment behind, the money I have, my car, and then what, right? So here's a little help for us to understand this better. It is a divine metaphor. And how is it to be understood? Wealth and power are paths of experience and trials. So if we find ourselves incarnated in extreme poverty, that's our experience this lifetime. This is our trial. And we're supposed to embrace it and work with it, not run from it. And if we're extremely wealthy, and I'm just picking extremes, but anything in between goes too, then that's an experience and a trial too. As a matter of fact, we know from the Spirit's Book that being wealthy is the more difficult trial. Why? Because we're still very selfish. We don't like to share. So wealth and power are paths of our trial. So to renounce everything we have on the material plane is not necessarily the answer. To dispose of them, meaning the wealth and the power, arbitrarily would disrespect the opportunity for progress granted by God. There's a reason why we find ourselves in this position, in these positions. It's something, an opportunity that God gifted us with, both in poverty as well as wealth. Power, no power. Everyone has the right to use heavenly treasures And those who are called to manage them must take it as one of life's most serious challenges. Again, perhaps politicians, right? Anyone who has power. They're the ones who are called to manage these treasures of wealth and power. It's one of life's most serious challenges. But are we sitting back and judging how they're dealing with it out there? No, it's not our job, remember? No, our job is to work on our own goodness, to discern good from evil within our own thoughts, words, and actions. The evangelical imperative will be fulfilled by humans when they renounce selfishness, pride, weakness, and vanity. So anyone who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple is to be understood that we are supposed to renounce selfishness, pride, weakness, and vanity, according to Emmanuel. So these are just some things, but they summarize quite a bit of what we need to. We know at the root cause of all evil or ignorance on planet Earth is selfishness and pride. So in order to follow Jesus, we're supposed to relinquish that. Doesn't matter whether we have money or no money, whether we have power or no power. Then, by using our material and spiritual means without the poisoned influence of the world, we will feel the greatness of the only provider of the real treasure of life and serve as God's disciple in all circumstances. So, of course, God is the only provider of the real treasure of life. And then when we recognize that, doesn't matter what situation we find ourselves in, then we will serve as God's disciple in all circumstances. So this is what is meant by any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. Again, it's selfishness, pride, weakness, and vanity, not material goods. 64. In criminal prosecution, should defendants be convicted based on evidence or be acquitted in order for us not to judge? Remember, we were told not to judge, right? So here's, again, a fine-tuning, and it is in our personal lives. So in our personal lives versus the judicial cases. So in our personal lives, we must always put ourselves in the shoes of the wrongdoer so that we are in harmony with God. So we are feeling the other person's situations. We're not judging them. We're trying to put ourselves into their shoes. Not so easy, right? Judging is so much easier. Condemning, slandering. We should remember Jesus and the adulteress in criminal cases. So he gives us an example. Remember the adulteress who was supposed to be stoned in the town square by the community members? Jesus then said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her," remember? This is the sentence that should remind us of being fallen spirits so we won't condemn our fellow spirits. We won't have a different landscape out there, as discouraged as we are when we open the internet or the news, unless we learn these lessons. This is just a reflection of our consciousness. It's us too. We are not without sin. So how can we judge and condemn others, our brothers and sisters? Jesus taught us that over 2,000 years ago. And we're still at it, right? Go sin no more, he also said, must be our rule of conduct to ward off evil. Judging someone morally, condemning them, is creating more sin, among other things, of course. So this is in our personal lives. Now, in the judicial cases, legal authorities must fulfill their responsibilities to find the best means for correction and rehabilitation of criminals. In the ordinary moments of our lives, we need to utilize the light of the gospel to discern right from wrong. In moments of definitive judgments, let us hand it over to God, who knows best. Let's take a deep breath because this is a big lesson. This is really one of our biggest lessons, to relinquish judgments. We're coming to an end. So this is now question 68. How should we understand the state of mind of modern human beings focused on doing well in life and working to become rich? And the answer is the misguided goals of modern humans are a striking demonstration of how deeply spiritual values are ignored on earth, where we find an inversion of nearly all achievements in the area of moral values. Ouch. This is big. This is really big. So I'm going to read it again. The misguided goals of modern humans are a striking demonstration of how deeply spiritual values are ignored on earth, where we find an inversion of nearly all achievements in the area of moral values. We're all after money. We all want more, more, more. We leave countries just to have more, more, more. We're ignoring the fact that there's a reason why we're born where we're born, what situation we were born in, because we're all just selfishly wanting to rake it in. We're cutting corners. We judge all the criminal actions we see out there, totally ignoring our own actions. And the list goes on. So this last question is really an invitation by Emmanuel to go back onto the drawing board, to hold up the mirror and looking within, not getting distracted by out there, busy judging everything and being discouraged and all of this. No, it is all alive in us. This is where the work needs to be done. Because we're all, I'm pretty sure all of us are guilty, even in this lifetime, of ignoring, at least at times, the moral values, the teachings of Jesus Christ. And we as Spiritists, where our bar is particularly high, because we remember that in the Spirits book, we were taught by the spirits on high that those who know better, they're making themselves so much more guilty by not following the rules of divine law, of Jesus's guidance. The moral crisis of the world is rooted in excessive restlessness driven by rampant selfishness. So thank you, Emmanuel, for once again being so clear. I was guided to bring this chapter to us this week, this Sunday, and I'm hoping that you received it with an open heart and mind, really letting it in. Thank you so much.
You know, thanks, Sunshine. It does put me always in the mind of our people who seemingly seem to be getting away with doing what they do in the public eye. When we over here in the spiritist realm know good and well, we don't get away with nothing. Nothing. And sometimes, it comes to our mind when we are dealing with our physical issues, or we may want something that it's just moving like a snail. But no, nobody gets away. I don't care how it appears. It just, no. And it's not easy looking at yourself all the time and reevaluating it if you don't have this spiritual education behind you. And one of the things I always tell my friends and relatives is that the gospel according to Spiritism is not just a gospel, it's a recipe to things that are going on in life that you want to correct or you don't have an answer to. It's in this book. It's very, very important to read. And my son likes to read to his baby. He said he's reading the Bible. I said, well, you might want to try this one too, because a lot of the answers you're looking for as well, just having fun, just read it, and you come across some of these answers that you're looking for in life. So hopefully they take that advice. Who knows? Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sure. And what comes to mind, there's also, and I'm reminding myself for my granddaughter, there's Spiritist children books too. I want to look into that more again. Thanks for mentioning that. Anyone else?
Yeah, thank you, Sunshine, for the presentation. Spiritism, for me, has grown on me on really about what you've talked about today, and it's the golden rule of do unto others as you wish others to do to you. And you come along in life, and we've all traveled. We've all had our journeys. But as soon as Spiritism touched us, we began to look at life differently, not just here, but on the other side too. And now at this point in my life, and I'm pretty sure that the majority here, when they think about what to do, it's like, well, how is that going to put me in the standing, when I go to the other side? And I can't help but think that now, whereas years ago, it didn't even cross my mind. And that's the beauty of Spiritism and the lessons that we learned, even when we've stepped away, which I have for a while with work and taking care of my mother, and it's still there. It hasn't gone away. I still hear your voices. I still hear Dr. Paulo. I hear everyone, and I hear the messages. And it's just the beautiful thing, that if we allow it, the seed can grow. But we must remain disciplined. We must do the work. No one will do the work for us. We have to do it. And if we don't, we will be in a state of affliction. And it's only us who we can blame. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes.
Well, thank you, Sunshine. A very good presentation. And as we were explaining, every question also something hit on me. For example, the question 54, we talk about the homeland concept, right? And throughout history, we see seeds being planted by so many people. For example, in our Latin American history, Simon Bolivar concept of no frontiers. Nowadays, the Beatles, John Lennon, no countries, right? All these are like seeds that have been planted throughout, and that is where we're going, because the gospel is sent to us not just in a format of a religious teaching, but in general, all teachers out there. On question 56, you talk about anarchy and chaos. It's very important that we understand that anarchy is not equal chaos. Anarchy is the absence of the structure, absence because one is responsible for what you're doing. Chaos is the confusion created by disrespect of others' rights. So anarchy is very sublime in terms of chaos, is really amongst us, that showed tremendous disrespect between the rules of laws and that kind of stuff. And also, the progress is realized spiritually by individual and also by groups or by the collective. So we are all evolving, like, for example, the elimination or the hunting of animals and all that. Once we understand that, look, they are also progressing and they are serving a purpose. So why do I have to kill them? So that's something that we're going to eventually get to it. And I don't know what's the meaning of the word harbinger. I think it's in question 59.
Forerunner.
What is that?
The forerunner is something or someone that comes before the other.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, very good. Very interesting. And also to judge and discernment, that's beautiful. Because when you judge something, that is really a role of God. Because when you say judging, you implying there will be applied consequences to it. So I'm judged. So, but that's not up to me. That's up to God. So God eventually it reverts to yourself. You're going to be judging yourself. That's really interesting. And of course, discernment is to know the difference. What's good, what's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And see no more finally is like a deliver us from all temptations. To see no more is not that okay, I'm be violating this rule on article number so and so. That's not about it. It's about I will not surrender to my temptations of doing what I've been doing.
Mm.
As you said, uh, what do I see is a reflection of me, right? So if I see all these evils, is that what am I looking at? You're right. So I really appreciate your presentation. Very good material. And again, I will work on introducing the translation of this book because it talks about the moral surgery very specifically. Really good.
Mm.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles, for summarizing it so well. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a fantastic book. So anyone who wants to join the study, it's just every page there is some new angle on some things we know already, but now become clearer. There's so much material for reflection, and there's just sometimes some totally new information, you know. Really a fantastic study. Hi, Kiki. Yes.
No, I would just reinforce that it's a powerful, very, very powerful lesson.
Yeah.
And just takes so much for reflection. I'm kind of speechless because I have so much to reflect and to absorb. I really enjoyed all the concepts.
Yeah.
And I've heard about this book. I didn't read that, and I'm keen to join the studies because it's really beautiful. And
One last thing, if I may, I wanted to reinforce what Brian was saying. The ultimate teaching is the golden rule. Having that end of the golden rule, there will be no more conflicts, no more wars, no more nothing. It's interesting. Very good.
It's a beautiful work of inner transformation, right?
Yeah.
It just reinforces to us the importance of being aware of who we are, understanding who we want to be, and how to get there.
Mm-hmm. And also for us who left their homeland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also stuff to reflect. So what was motivating me, and not just me, anyone, for us to reflect on what was motivating me to leave my homeland? And was it because I was just selfishly cutting corners and running after something that, you know, where I'm avoiding lessons or not really honoring the choice that I co-created to be born and live in the country that I, chose, right? So it's like really something. And how can I, now that I am in this foreign country, this new country, how can I make sure I'm still continuing on my path, right? And not losing myself in materialism or whatever the reason might have been, you know?
Somebody.
This was one of the, just a second, Charles. This was one of the reflections that I was having, Sunshine, that I want to put myself to reflect even more, which I think, because as you said, there are many reasons why we decided to do what we did. And I think that that's really important for us to really go back and understand that. But also once that move has happened, what are we doing also for the benefit of where we are? And I also think that there is a lot for us to do. And for example, you all know that I'm a foreigner here in US as well. I always think for the opportunity to be here. And I always think, what can I do for the benefit of the country, not forgetting the responsibility that I also have with my home country, right? But when we expand this concept of homeland, where we are, and all of that, we just expand that just so much more, right? So I think that was a very interesting concept that I also thought and thinking, what can I do wherever I am? What can I do to be the best to my brothers and sisters?
Right, right. Because, and also the other thing is the boundaries, right? So we had open boundaries with several borders, more open borders for the last few years. You know, those will fall away, but not yet, because we're still selfishly driven to cut corners, to leave difficult situations. So this is kind of like putting, from my perspective, this is my perspective, isn't it? You know, the cart before the horse of opening borders, because we're not quite there yet. Because we're not fully embracing even the most difficult situations we were born into and working with them. We said work and love, you know, cherishing God's choice or our co-choice, you know, of where we're finding ourselves. Because we're not quite, we may be, but the rest of the population is not clear of the bigger picture.
We're still very limited on
Yes.
understanding, because ultimately the concept of the outside does not exist, because everything is inside.
Yeah.
So they're outside. That's why we need to work on the inner self, because the inner is.
Yes. The boundaries don't, the borders don't need to be there anymore when we're really on that level of embracing, of being more spiritually enlightened, right? Yeah.
Wherever we are,
Hmm?
relationships,
Yeah.
working relationships,
Well,
veritable relationships, friends relationships, neighborhood relationships.
that's why Jesus said, God is in me, I'm in God.
Yeah.
There's no borders, there's no boundaries right there. We are all one.
Yes. And yet we find ourselves in different socioeconomic situations because of us.
Yeah, that's right.
To blame. Just because of us, you know? Yeah.
Even
Thank you
though
so much, sister. Sorry, brother.
me and there is you, but we need to understand that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the great discussion. This was awesome, sister. Thank you. For those who are here, don't forget that we can always come back to this lecture at our channel on YouTube, where you can also find all the other lectures from previous Sundays. So thank you so much all for being here, and thank you, Sunshine. God bless you, sister. We are taking 2 minutes break, and we will come back for the second part, which is the hands-on healing. So make sure to bring your bottle of water, write down the names of those who are in need of positive vibration as well.